Super Tuesday is going to come down to one major factor for the Democratic presidential contenders: delegates. And getting those delegates means that candidates have to meet a key threshold to make it to the convention. NewsHour Weekend special correspondent Jeff Greenfield explains.
We're bringing our people together.
The numbers are staggering. 14 states and one territory from one end of the continent to the other.
This is the moment, and it's arrived.
1,357 delegates at stake.
We are going to show them and surprise them.
Millions of voters, tens of millions of advertising dollars. But if you're looking for a number that will determine the outcome of Super Tuesday, there's really only one that matters: getting 15% of the vote. Why? It's because of the ground rules for how Democrats award delegates in the primaries.
Well, they're very significant, and one way to understand this is to compare the Democratic rules and the Republican rules.
There's no better guide to the way Democrats choose their nominees than Elaine Kamarck. She's been a member of the party's Rules Committee for more than 2 decades and literally wrote the book on how Americans nominate presidential candidates.
So the Democratic rules tend to favor not losers, but the second-place finishers, whereas the Republican Party rules tend to be winner-take-all by congressional district.
Democrats do award some delegates to a state's overall winner, but most of the delegates are based on how well they do in individual congressional districts. For comparison, just look at the last campaign. When Donald Trump won the New York Republican primary with 60% of the vote, he won 93% of the state's delegates. When Hillary Clinton won the New York Democratic primary with 58% of the vote, she got about 56% of the delegates, with Senator Bernie Sanders collecting the rest. Because Democrats do not have winner-take-all rules, you can win a fair number of delegates without actually winning a primary at all. But there's a catch. That 15% threshold can also dramatically boost a frontrunner in a crowded field. Take Senator Sanders in California, with its 415 pledged delegates. Polls not only show Sanders with a large statewide lead, they show every other candidate struggling to hit 15%. If no one else gets above that mark, Sanders would get all of the 144 statewide delegates. That's about a third of all the delegates in the state. If that holds true in many of California's 53 congressional districts, Sanders would get the lion's share of those remaining delegates as well. So it is conceivable that a candidate like Sanders could win a huge majority of the delegates with far less than a majority of voters. But those same rules that boost a contender in a crowded field can also make gaining ground in a narrowed field very hard. In the last 2 contested Democratic primaries, 2008 and 2016, there were only 2 major candidates, so getting to that 15% threshold wasn't hard at all. But making up serious ground was also nearly impossible with no winner-take-all contests. That's what doomed Clinton in her race against Barack Obama in 2008, and it's what guaranteed her victory over Sanders last time out.
She was winning enormous margins in the South. So her delegate lead over Bernie Sanders essentially carried her through the rest of the season and right on into the convention.
That's a similar dynamic we could see this year. If Sanders solidifies a significant delegate lead after Super Tuesday, even a winnowed field will have a hard time catching up. With Joe Biden's landslide win in South Carolina last night, here are the crucial questions Super Tuesday might answer. First, can Biden win most of those southern states where there's a significant black electorate? Second, what happens if none of the moderates drop out between now and Tuesday? Would they so divide the vote that none of them hits that 15% mark? And third, what if Bloomberg, despite his massive advertising, including primetime speeches tonight on CBS and NBC, finishes far behind Biden in the voting? A little more than 48 hours from now, Super Tuesday might give us much more clarity about the Democratic field, or leave it even more muddled than it is now. Hari?
Jeff, what about early voting? The folks say, for example, in California, who might have already mailed in ballots or done some of this early voting before the results in South Carolina.
Yeah, this could really be critical. Some 3 million ballots will have been returned in California by the time Tuesday shows up, and you just have to wonder how many of the voters went for Bloomberg or Steyer or Klobuchar or Buttigieg and would have had second thoughts about, well, maybe we should go with Biden, and now they can't.
All right, Jeff Greenfield joining us from California tonight. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Hari.